This is going to be an objective guide based on some tricky, sticky situations, and I'm going to be collaborating with Eddie Goes Pro to hear more than one point of view on the topic. Now, these are deliberately tricky, so let me know what you think of each situation. So these are some sticky situations where it's kind of like what objective are you supposed to be doing in Pokemon Unite. So this objective number 1, you're in the top lane and you're using Lucario and Aegislash, and you've won your lane and you're winning on levels, and the top goal's on 23 out of 80, and you pan down and you see the bottom lane, your goal's on 5 out of 80 and your team is low on health. The enemy jungler is level 9 and your jungler is like level 8. The time is 7:14. Which objective would you do first, Eddie Pro?
I usually do it like this. If I see that hopeless situation, but I run down, I help my teammates to win them time and come back and have the big fight, because what I don't want to do is get their jungler over my level. Because while he is on my level or under my level, I can still invade their jungle. If I'm up there on the top lane, I can run down on their jungle, take some XP, and then go and fight them from behind while, they are thinking they are safe because they just demolished my 2 teammates and maybe also the goal zone.
Mm-hmm. I see what you mean. So you're trying to get down here like right on the 7-minute mark when the objective's starting. And normally if their jungle is like down here fighting, that third rotation of the buffs is up, hey?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty smart. Okay, because this is such a tricky situation, because there's what I see here is like, so there's, since this goal's on 23 out of 80 up top here, just going to pick a different color up here. It's on 23. Oh, that's really bad. 23 out of 80. So if you get the Regieleki and it goes in, it's on 3 out of 80, so you've got a potential overcap there. So you can get a bit of a score advantage here. However, I think that's something you can do with the team after you've won, right? Because your team hasn't died yet. So it kind of depends. Like, I really like this idea of going through here and taking buffs, but depending on how much the team's getting smashed down bottom, like sometimes, when you go down and you're just like, you're 5 seconds too late. So that's kind of like a tricky judgment. So maybe like, and again, that's probably a really good play to take these 2 buffs. I'd probably smash through the Salic berries, and if they're pushing on base, like I want to try and get to this base as quickly as possible. So like, and it's sort of like, it totally depends. Like if you got 2 tanks down there, and then your jungler's a ranged attacker, you could probably, they're probably going to buy you more time to make that sort of a play. And it's also like, are you level 8? And then getting these 2 buffs will get you level 9, so you'll go down there with a Unite move. So I think consensus is, even though you've won top lane, that's fantastic. You need to go down and support your team in the bottom lane to help try and take this objective, or even to get a couple KOs down here.
Exactly.
And then maybe even
get some time.
Get some time back or get the score. Or just look to, maybe if you've got 2 or 3 KOs, you just flip the objective and then you just run straight back top to get value, because you've still got 23 out of 80 on top goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also have to say that their top Regi is for me more useful if we already have destroyed the first goal zone of them. I prefer
true. Okay.
to go, to push harder so they get stressed and do the wrong movements.
I see what you mean. See, I'm so on the fence with that, because I see that Regieleki as a good opportunity to get a big free overcap and just put a lot of pressure on the enemy team. Because like if you've won them, like if you've hit the Regi here and it's walking in, then you're in a position where you can just kill them on their base. It walks in, and then you get, like, if it's left on 3, you can get a 37 overcap if somebody puts a 40 in. So I'm like, I'm so on the fence with that, because I think like I'm never a fan of breaking that top goal before the 7-minute mark. I think you should always leave it on above 20, Personally.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's really interesting. All right, let's go to second scenario here. So that's again, these scenarios are supposed to be tricky because this is where a lot of the time people get frustrated in these scenarios. So second one here. The team is behind in levels. It's 4 minutes 14, so we're well into the game. Both Reggies are spawning at about the same time. Both top tier goals are destroyed, so that's destroyed and that is destroyed. But these bottom goals are still active, but your team is behind, and you look on the map and there's like farm everywhere. So there's like these bees are still up. You can see there's just farm at like all the points in the map. Like there's just farm everywhere, like even here and here and these three up here. So there's even like maybe bottom bees and like this top bees here, right? Like there's just stacks of farm, and your team is behind on levels. Okay, so this is where I'm going to start this one. This is such a hard one because I don't know if you're behind in levels, is it a recipe for disaster to go? Because this is the sort of thing that's like, if you go to the objective and lose the team fight, you're giving up everything. Because if their team kills you and they get a team wipe, they go and score, and then they probably push to take your farm here and then sweep back and take everything on the map. So, and like, if you're already behind, you're just compounding that so much by taking a risk to win a team fight. So I think it's such a risky play to just go for the objective. Even though a lot of people have like gotten mad at me and I get pinged and stuff for, in this situation, personally, I would probably just be farming. Okay. The top Regieleki is just don't even bother with it. I think let the enemy get the Regieleki, who that is a completely dead objectives to me.
Exactly.
So this bottom one here, I would probably just look to take the farm from about here. Anything on that side, I'd try and contest farm and not die. And even if at this point, if you're behind, you're kind of hoping the enemies overcommit so you can get some catch-up experience on them. It's like, even if they get the objective while your team's farming and they push to score here, you can use your Unite move as a team to try and pick up a KO. And then a KO here, and then maybe even a third KO there.
Yeah.
And then even though you haven't gotten the objective, your team is going to be even on levels after that sort of an exchange. Or the other scenario is you take all the farm and then their team gets that and they don't push. The enemy team goes straight up to here and then they push the Regieleki in. Now, again, smart players won't do that. Smart players will get this Regieleki and then they'll go farm. But again, we're kind of, if you're behind, you're anticipating that the enemies have to overcommit so you can get some catch-up experience. So if they were to push this Regieleki when it comes in, then either you can get KO here or KO there. So I think for me in this situation, I'm playing it safe and I'm waiting for the opportunity for the enemy to make a dumb play. That's my take on it. What do you think, Eddie?
Unfortunately, I have to say I agree fully to you.
Okay.
Well, at this case, the only problem would be asking, are we playing a 5-stack or a solo queue? Because
let's say let's keep it simple and say you're a solo or duo, like no 5-stack.
Yeah. Okay. Then first of all, I pray.
Shit.
I pray that my teammates do the right decisions, because what I will do is try to farm as hard as I can, get those levels, and then smash the other team to the ground while they think they have the upper hand.
Yep.
But that's something that's 50% of the matches.
Yes. Yeah.
And I also prefer the top goal, where if they take like the Regi Electro, we'll take him. No problem. We get more farm later and give him then the Regi that is on the bottom lane is more of a pain because you'll have a harder time to deal with them. So I try to get all the farm I can and go down.
I agree. Okay, so I think general consensus, that one, we're both pretty much on the same page there. But again, I feel like the common misconception that I see a lot of players make is either going for this Regieleki and trying to push it, which is just, I think that's just ballistic. I think it's crazy. And the next thing is expecting a big team fight down the bottom. I think I personally think it's a big mistake, and I think we're on the same page. Is get some levels and let the enemies overcommit, which they will do quite a few times. Okay, let's go to our third one here. So you're the jungler. Let's say you're Cinderace or ranged attacker, whichever one you want to be. I just love Cinderace. It's 7 minutes 03. You've hit your level 9, so you've got your Unite move. The enemy top tier goal is on 18. So this thing here is on 18 out of 80. And your top tier goal is on 80 out of 80. So your team has done well. Your team's even for levels. However, the enemy jungler is level 8. And they'd need a farm for about 20 seconds to get to level 9. Both of these bottom tier goals are like not even close to being broken. So they're all active. Both your top laners are still up here. So I'm going to indicate that with a blue. So both of your top laners are still up. And you suspect they're going to stay up to do the Regieleki. And you have no vision on enemies up top. So that can only suspect that you'd imagine they've based. And those two top laners who were up there are now no longer there. And they are running down to the bottom lane. What do you do?
Well, it's a similar situation like the first situation we had. I used to play a lot of Cinderace, so I'm a bit confident with him. I try to invade, not like really hard their jungle, but I want to see where their teammates are, where the enemy is, so I can decide and make a better decision. What I will usually do is I won't care much about our goals on the top because it's 80-80. We have nothing to fear. And I will go down, take their farm, depending if in that time appears any of the other enemies up there, I go back, make that kill, and then go down to the Reggie and hope that I still have time to unite maybe and get the other Reggie that's down there. Get at least some kills so they lose time and we have again time to get some farm and then push harder forward.
So you'd go for this bottom. So you go for the bottom Regieleki here, but ultimately your goal is to like play it safe and not die.
Yes.
Okay. See, this is
correctly.
Okay, this is one that I feel very divided on, like very, very divided on. Only because I've seen so many times, if I've got a teammate up here and a teammate up here, they do this Regieleki, they don't bother scoring, so then the Regieleki goes in, and it just destroys the goal, and there's no real, like it's a 2 overcaps, there's no real value out of the objective up there. And then a lot of the time when that happens, I've been down here in like a 3v5 situation playing it safe, and by playing it safe, we've wasted about 45 seconds of time. And in that time, we got no value here. And the enemies have inevitably figured out that they're going to be able to swamp us back and take this objective and take all the farm from about here. So this is a very tricky one. There's a part of me that says, if I'm the Cinderace and I see this, at what point do you go, okay, I actually think we're a lost cause down bottom because I suspect I'm in a 3v5. And I know it's not like the optimal play, but this is with like solo queue. You're trying to make the best out of a bad situation. So I think a legitimate play here is like, given you've got more than like 20 points to score, you just destroy that goal zone. You just run up there and destroy it. And then from here, you can help push this Regieleki through here because they don't have their jump pad, and you take all their farm down here and you walk into their farm. Meanwhile, these two people down here are probably going to get killed, and then the enemies are going to score, so that you're trading off like top lane for bottom lane.
Push.
So I think because the worst case is that you stay down here, you get no value, and then the top lane also gets no value. So then the other team comes out positive in the exchange. I really hate that play, but there's a part of me that would kind of make that play. The other option is I'd probably stay down bottom, and depending, it's like if the team just looks to rip and they have no idea that they're in a 3v5, you could try and steal it with your Unite move. Or if their team is pushing and they're kind of overcommitting.
Exactly.
You can unite with your Cinderace, and if you've got a couple tanks, you can be attacking from your goal zone. And if you manage to get a kill or two from there, then you can probably win the 3v3 from that point on, because you're level 9
Exactly.
and the enemy jungler isn't. So it totally depends. I'd probably stay down bottom, and if I can't get value in the first 10 seconds, I'd just transition top lane, because you've got to get value somewhere on the map.
Now that you showed it and visually I can see it, it's like a really good decision. First to score those 18 to 20 points, get the Regieleki, and at least you have one lane that is pushing forward. That's actually a really smart move.
Yeah, so like it's like I see it as making the best out of a worse situation, but then there's also a big part of me which is like I try not to make my teammates tilt. And so in doing something like that, your bottom laners, like, because there's a lack of communication, your bottom laners might think, you know, great, I'm with a bunch of idiots, right? Like, they play for top objective, and they might get really annoyed. And so, you know, that there's so many factors to consider when I'm approaching this. But yeah, I think if you can't get value in the bottom lane, you have to try and get value in the top lane, especially if you suspect that if it's on 18 and your teammates are not going to, you know, break it, then it's kind of on you, having recognized that, to go up there and get some value out of it. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully this has been kind of helpful for some of us who are watching and, you know, trying to learn what to do in these tricky situations, because again, this is going to be very conflicting. I can already anticipate in the comment section I'm going to get absolutely roasted for some of these things that I've suggested to do, and that's okay. Like, have an opinion, you know, everyone needs to be respectful about it, but I think these are situations that have been designed to have a little bit of conflict in them, that, you know, they're specifically handwritten. These are situations that make people tilt, and that's where the pinging starts. So if you guys disagree or agree, let me know. Otherwise, if you're looking to watch a little bit more, there is a Machamp guide and a Machamp objective guide kind of built within that, so give that a little watch.